Hey gang, welcome to episode 5 of Fantasy Sports Alliance Periscope broadcast. This week we're going to be bringing you Week 13's updates from NFL news and FSA news. We've got a lot of FSA news to cover this week. We're going to start off with the NFL news though, but we're going to get right into it. So last week we opened the show with a feel-good story about the Packers retiring Brett Favre's number in Green Bay. This week we have a similar story out of Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers retired Doug Williams' number at halftime this past week, so congratulations to Mr. Williams. We have more candy to hand out this week as we head out to Arizona, where the Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald became the youngest receiver in NFL history to reach 1,000 receptions. Congratulations to Fitz. But we're not done yet. There's more. During Monday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys' Jason Witten became the 12th player in NFL history to record 1,000 catches, and only the second tight end to do so. The other tight end was Tony Gonzalez. Congratulations to Mr. Witten. So before we get into the FSA news, we have 3 more games that we thought were worth mentioning this past week. Carolina Panthers held off a hard-charging New Orleans Saints team to remain undefeated. With the wins, the Panthers become the NFC South Division champion. The Jets were the visiting team in their own stadium on Sunday as they faced the New York Giants. The Jets got the win, and it wouldn't be that big of a news except for this was the Jets' first win against the Giants since 31 October 1993. 1993. It was also the first year FSA was in existence. And then lastly in NFL news, just when we thought Eagles head coach Chip Kelly went from mad scientist to clueless head coach, and the fans were asking for his resignation, Philadelphia defeated the Patriots 35-28, giving the Pats their second loss of the season. So on to FSA news. Last week we mentioned there were 5 playoff spots to open with 10 teams fighting for those spots. This being the last week of our regular season, all those spots have now been filled. In the Mid-Atlantic South, we here now defeated the Buccaneers by 1.5 to claim the division title in the Mid-Atlantic South Division. The Pandas absolutely dominated the Thrillers with a final score of 188-116 to take their title. In the Great Lakes North Division, the 2 teams vying for the playoff spot didn't face each other. However, both teams got the win. The win by the Crusaders put them on a path back to the Fanatically Real Bowl where they runner-up last season. In the Southwest Division, the Pixie Boots claimed the title with a 144-117 point win over the Coyotes. Consequently, the Pixie Boots did not make a roster move the entire season, the only team to do such a thing. And in the Pac Southeast Division, the Falconian Assault held off the Machine for a 95-83 victory and the right to be in the playoffs. Now that the playoffs are set, round 1 will also serve as the regional finals, as the Pandas will face We Here Now for the Mid-Atlantic title. On the same side of the bracket, the Crusaders and the Dogs will meet for the Great Lakes Regional Championship. On the opposite side of the bracket, the Pixie Boots and last year's champs, the Hookers, will face off for the Southwest South Atlantic title. And the winner of that game will face the Pac South Regional Champion, which will either be the Falconian Assault or the Carolina Nation. These teams have faced off against each other once this year, with the Pandas, Crusaders, Hookers, and Carolina Nation all winning their respective games. So just like we did last week, we're going to go ahead and open up the session for questions and answers if you have anything NFL related or FSA related news. So here's how we're going to do the schedule this week. For all of the people, thank you for that question, Kelvin. Kelvin asked who's everybody going to be playing this week now that we've hit the playoffs. The playoffs are set, so the number ones in each one of the divisions are going to play against each other. Since we still have the schedule set on Yahoo all the way out to week 17, we're going to have the 2s play the 2s, the 3s play the 3s, the 4s play the 4s, at least for this upcoming week, and then we'll readjust in the rest of the season off of that. Jason from Ohio has a question. What's your question, Jason? Jason says, it has been said that the 76ers from the NBA are throwing the season to get first pick. So I've been paying pretty close attention to what's going on with Golden State, of course, because they're vying for an NBA record right now. I think they're 23-0 at the moment. I'm not sure what the 76ers record is at the moment. I do know that if they're throwing it to get the first pick, it's a little early in the season. I mean, we're only about a quarter of the way through the season. doing that. Can you see an NFL team doing that? Well, Jason, I think your beloved Browns are doing that, but I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think they're just that bad. Yeah. And I think Kelvin would agree with me. He says the Browns as well. Are there any other questions out there? All right. I appreciate the Q&A. Looks like the show was pretty quick this week. We got through the news pretty fast. Don't forget, is it too early to think about next year? I think in the NBA it's too early to think about next year. I think in the NFL it is not too early. I think we've only got, 4 regular season games left in the NFL. I don't think it's too early to be thinking about next season for some of those teams, to include the Browns. I think we got through the news pretty quick this week. Don't forget, there will be a post-production version of this same show on Facebook or YouTube, or both, tomorrow night before Thursday Night Football. I will send out the reminder for everybody to go take a peek at that. Are there any remaining questions before we call it quits for the night? All right. I appreciate everybody showing up. Thank you.